Hey everyone, we're going to talk about something you probably have in your kitchen right now, tea. And we're going to unpack the absolutely wild story of how that simple drink sparked a massive global conflict. Seriously, it's an incredible story about trade, addiction, and a clash of empires that literally changed the world.
I know, it sounds kind of crazy, right? How on earth could a cup of tea lead to all that? We're talking about a full-blown war, the creation of modern Hong Kong, and a deep-seated national wound that, honestly, is still felt today. So let's get into it and see how this all went down.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to break this down into 5 parts. Think of it like a set of dominoes. Each section knocks over the next, taking us from a simple money problem all the way to a global conflict.
Okay, first up, Britain's silver problem. You see, this whole thing doesn't start with guns and ships. Nope. It starts with an accounting nightmare. Back in the 18th century, the British Empire had this huge problem with China, and it all came down to money.
So here's the deal. It was a totally one-way street. The British were absolutely crazy for Chinese goods. We're talking tea, silk, beautiful porcelain. They couldn't get enough. But China, they were this massive, self-sufficient empire, and frankly, they just weren't interested in anything Britain was selling. So their position was pretty simple. You want our stuff? Fine. Pay us in silver.
And what happens next is this incredible drain of wealth. It's like a massive hemorrhage of silver, just pouring out of the British Empire and straight into China. For the folks back in London, this was a disaster. It wasn't just bad for business, it was humiliating. They were desperate. They had to find something, literally anything, that the Chinese would be willing to buy from them. Which brings us to their solution, and I'm putting that in air quotes, because when they couldn't find a legitimate product to balance the books, the British East India Company turned to something much darker.
Yeah, let's be really clear about this. This was not some accident. It was a cold, calculated economic strategy. The plan was to grow massive amounts of cheap opium in British India and then smuggle it into China. Why? To create a brand new market of people addicted to their product. The goal was to get that silver flowing back the other way. It was, for all intents and purposes, state-sponsored drug dealing.
And the scale here is just mind-boggling. 4 million pounds. That's how much opium was being smuggled into China every single year by the late 1830s. The result was a devastating social crisis. Millions of people became addicted. And from Britain's perspective, well, their plan worked perfectly. That river of silver didn't just stop flowing out, it turned around and started flowing right back into their pockets. So you can imagine China is now facing a full-blown national crisis. The emperor knew he had to do something and do it fast. And that decision is what sets the stage for a massive showdown between these two global empires. And things started moving really fast. The emperor sends in his top guy, an imperial commissioner named Lin Zexu, who was basically a drug czar on a mission. He gets to Canton, blockades the foreign merchants, and says, "Give me all of it. All the opium." And then in this huge public display, he destroys it all. Over 20,000 chests of opium gone. That was it. That was the point of no return. To the British, this was the destruction of private property, and it gave them the exact excuse they needed to go to war. You know, Commissioner Lin even tried diplomacy. He wrote this incredibly powerful letter straight to Queen Victoria, basically appealing to her sense of morality. He pointed out the massive hypocrisy, right? He said, "I hear that you guys have outlawed this stuff in your own country, so why are you poisoning my people with it?" It's a powerful question. The letter never got a response. So what came next was a war. But it was hardly a fair fight. It was brutally one-sided. Britain's modern industrial navy just completely overwhelmed China's older forces. This wasn't a negotiation, it was a complete beatdown, ending with China having to accept whatever terms Britain dictated.
And those terms, laid out in the Treaty of Nanking, were just crushing for China. First, they had to give up the island of Hong Kong to Britain, forever. Then they were forced to open up 5 of their most important ports to foreign traders, basically losing control over their own economy. On top of that, they had to pay a huge fine, not just for the costs of the war, but for the very opium they had destroyed. And maybe the biggest insult of all, British citizens in China no longer had to follow Chinese laws. Just think about that. It was a total dismantling of their sovereignty.
But the treaty was more than just a list of demands. It was the start of something much bigger. It kicked off a whole new era for China. And its legacy, well, it's something that is still incredibly powerful today. See, in China, this isn't just some old event in a history book. It's the beginning of what they call the Century of Humiliation.
It was a 100-year period where a weakened China was basically carved up and exploited by all these foreign powers. And you have to understand, this idea is absolutely central to modern Chinese identity and nationalism. It's key.
So, okay, why are we talking about this now? What's the takeaway? Well, it's because this war completely changed how China saw itself and the rest of the world. It kicked off this pattern of foreign powers meddling in their affairs, forcing them into these unequal treaties. And that memory, that feeling of being vulnerable, is still a huge driver behind China's foreign policy today. It fuels this deep-seated desire to be strong, sovereign, and never be humiliated again.
Which really leaves us with one last thing to think about. Next time you see a news story about a trade dispute with China or about issues of national sovereignty, just ask yourself, how much of that is still being shaped by the echoes of this war? A conflict that, unbelievably, all started with a simple cup of tea.